Even though our world is broken, there is hope in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Candid Mike is here to share the gospel through life lessons and heavy-hitting interviews that will leave you inspired. In each episode, you will have the opportunity to make a difference in your personal life and in the lives of those you love. Today's episode has something good for you. Welcome back, listeners. I hope that the character series has been going great for you. We're on week 8. We're cruising through this, and today we're talking about patience. But I got a quick life update for you guys. This past Saturday, my wife Hope and I had the opportunity to go to Thomasville, Georgia, and ride some bikes with some great friends of ours named Roger and Nancy. They own a great place in Thomasville called Hubs and Hops. It's a half bicycle shop, half bar. Really cool. And if you like great people, if you like cycling, and if you like great beer, please be sure to check them out when you go to Thomasville, Georgia. We had a great time. We got soaked. It rained so much on our way back to the point where our clothes couldn't absorb any more water. And our fingers were actually pruned, which was pretty crazy because my fingers haven't been pruned since I was a kid. It was pretty bad, but it was fun. But today we're talking about the characteristic of patience and how we see this character in Jesus, and how we can learn to have this characteristic in our own life. And today we have two guests with us. My friend Mello, who you guys heard his interview a while back, and my other friend Johnathan, another fellow Tallahassee native. These guys are right here.
Yo.
Woohoo! So this will be a fun discussion. We could get this going, and we can open up with a simple question. Just where do we think patience fits into our lives? And as I've been thinking about this, whether it means with my relationships in my family, or even in my marriage, or with my new friends, patience is always that buffer between reactions that often can create a lot of tension, and where I make a lot of mistakes and have to do a lot of retracking. So I know patience for sure has made a difference in my life in that area. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Man, patience it's just super important, like, to have. It's such a good quality, and it will help you time and time again in life, because a lot of people will test your patience in life.
I agree to that.
Because man, like, a lot of things are gonna test your patience, and a lot of people are gonna test your patience. If you don't have good patience, you might end up doing something that you're gonna regret.
Yeah. Typically in the anger side.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. So like, yeah, patience is kind of like patience is kind of like a cliff, right? And you want a big cliff so you don't jump off of it, right? Like, kind of, right? Like, you want more road, you want more of that buffer to not, like, jump off, because once you jump off that cliff, there's really, like, no going back, you know? Because I know a lot of people, and especially for me, like, once I lose it, like, there's really no going back. And, you know, that can be in the realm of, like, anger or irritability, or just, like, not wanting to hang around somebody. And, like, if we don't have patience, especially with people, then, like, how can we really say we love them? Because, I mean, a lot of people that I know who love me have had so much patience with me.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, my mom, my friends, my family, my dad, for one, has had a lot of patience with me.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, even though my dad, you know, wasn't really in my life, but, you know, he still has had a lot of patience with me, with my anger towards him and stuff like that, you know. And he still loved me regardless, which is, like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's all from patience. So what do you think, John Boy?
Well, patience is not necessarily my strongest suit. When I'm driving on the road and someone just decides to be slow in front of me, and they know they're going slow, and
classic.
Yeah, and so you typically go a little closer to them, and they slow down even more. I mean, but you can't run them off the road. You gotta be patient and wait.
Bro, I got the tech for you. This is what you do. when someone's driving slow, bro, you go up close to them, you like lean your car to the right, like looking around, like, are you going? Are you going? And then they'll get the clue. They'll be like, oh, I gotta go faster. This dude's waiting on me.
No, man, I get to do that, and no, they're getting it slower. That just tells me I do it too much.
Yeah, probably.
Sounds like you're behind the perfect person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man.
So I typically think that's God telling me, patience, you learn it now.
Yeah, man. It's important, man. It's
It is.
It's
And
very important.
just, like, for me, I remember Proverbs. A wise man stays calm even when insulted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, dude.
if that's not patience, then I don't know what is.
For sure, dude. No, definitely. That's
Yeah, it's one thing to be driving and somebody's going slow.
Yeah.
And then that can test your patience. It's a whole other thing if somebody's straight up insults.
Yeah,
Well,
someone
I mean-
smacks you in the face and you're like, wow.
No,
So
it
be
does.
wise in that and like not
If you're
react.
waiting for somebody to arrive or whatnot and they're late,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you gotta have patience for them or something around those lines.
I think now that I'm thinking about it, man, I think patience is like a very good like patience ties into grace a lot because like grace and patience are like super similar in the way they like work because like grace is like God's way of having patience on us and like forgiving us. You know, I think grace adds in that forgiveness factor, which I think is like super important. But super important when it comes to patience, because if we're just patient with people, right? But then we're still kind of like have an attitude towards them. Then like, are we really patient?
Really being patient.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think grace is like super important as well when it comes to being patient.
Well, I think patience is more the lines of kind of like a temptation as well, because you want to do something, but you're having to wait, and if you break that temptation, you've committed, but you're tempting.
I see what you're saying. It's almost like a kid in a candy store, and his
Yeah.
mom's like, "I'll get you a candy bar, but like wait right here while I go pick something like up from a different place." And the kid's like, "I could wait, but
I can take it right now.
I can take it right now." And it's like, ooh,
So we're talking
Don't
about
even-
patience with people, and now we're talking about patience with things.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah,
depending
man.
how you take it or go with it.
yeah.
Because patience, like, is kind of like an all-encompassing thing. You know, it's like it's everywhere in your life. Being patient with things, with people, with your emotions. Sometimes, you know,
With yourself. Like,
with yourself. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of times where, you know, you feel like you're like, oh, I want to tell this person. Like, you know, I've had times where like people are giving like speeches or saying something, and I'm like, oh, I want to tell them this right now because they just messed up. But like, that probably wouldn't be the best time to tell them. you
I've
know?
had situations even with myself where I have a goal or I have a mental standard that I'm trying to live up to, and then when I fall short, I can like be extremely hard on myself.
True.
Instead of realizing that I need to practice and develop the skills.
So like patience with like learning.
Patience with learning, yeah, or being patient with being able to be an expert at something.
That's so
Like
applicable.
I should have known how to do that yesterday.
That's so applicable, especially for me. I'm learning for the viewers out there. I'm learning Japanese right now, and like I really want to get it down like right now, but learning a language is hard, and it takes a lot of patience on myself. You know, even when I mess up like different letters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also if you're trying to train somebody like a fellow coworker to do something, and they're just learning the game, the job or whatever, and they don't know it, and you're pulling extra weight for that individual because they still haven't learned it. Because that's you had to develop patience for them to learn what they need to be done.
Yeah, that's huge too. And that's one of the things we've been talking about is in this character series is being able to better love, serve, and influence our family, our friends, and our co-workers.
Yeah.
So that's a nugget right there. Maybe you are in a position where you're training somebody, or you got a new co-worker or something like that.
Yeah.
Being patient with them, and helping them actually develop the skills they need to be able to do the job well.
Yeah.
That can be hard because a lot of the failure can fall on you, and you can be held responsible for it if you're not careful.
And one thing I'd like to say is that patience is a very important thing to have, but then also being able to like understand why your patience is being tested, and if it's applicable, maybe like talking to the person who is like testing your patience, maybe about like something that they're doing that bothers you, and you know come at it like at a place of love. Let's say like someone does something that bothers me and I'm being patient with him, but I don't tell him that it bothers me, then like he's just gonna keep doing it and testing my patience. So I should be able to like come to him and be like, hey, this bothers me, and like, you know, I don't really like that you do this, or how do we like get through this together, you know, because just allowing someone to constantly test your patience isn't a good thing either, I would say, because then it creates kind of like it creates this view towards that person where you might not like that person, because you might be like, oh, like I don't like this person because they're always doing this, testing my patience. Well, maybe they don't know that, you know, like a lot of people don't even know that you're testing their patience. A lot of people literally do things because they've done it before and it never bothered anyone else, and no one has told them that it's bothered them, so they just keep doing it. So
with that, I think that is so true, man, and I think it's important that we try to even understand why people do what they do.
Yeah,
because sometimes it may be they're normal.
Yeah.
And their normal can just rub you.
How am I supposed to know if you don't tell me?
That's true.
It takes a person. That's someone who actually cares enough for you to let you know that you're doing something wrong, or this is what you need to change.
Yeah, for sure.
That's love.
Yeah, that is love, for sure.
Which is a great segue, because 1 Corinthians 13:4 says, love is patient.
Ooh.
And that is one of the most challenging verses in the entire Bible. That whole section gives us a very practical application of what patience and, well, really what love is. So one of the key points that I wanted to just kind of expose in this episode is that if you lack patience, you most likely have a love issue somewhere. Maybe it's a lack of love for the person. Maybe it's even a lack of love for yourself. There's a lack of love somewhere, which I think is worth talking and thinking about. So another question I want to throw out there to you guys, just for us to discuss, is how can we, like, we know we need to be, everybody knows they need to be more patient.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Everyone should know.
Everyone should know. Yeah, thank you for the correction. Yeah. Everyone should know. And especially if you're listening to this, I mean, I'm sure you know, you want to be more patient. So how? Like, how do you become more effective in this? You know, let's talk about that, guy. I mean, because, like, I get it. Like, I need to be more patient, but what do I do? And the first thing I'll say is that, hey, you're going to be put in situations where your patience is tested. Mm-hmm. And you want to try to be patient in those situations first. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that you don't let people take responsibility.
Yeah.
You got to let people be responsible and take responsibility.
Yep.
But being patient in those situations, I think is key. What do you guys think about that?
I think a great way to increase your patience abundantly is to think about how many times people were patient with you. I think that's such a good way to help you, because sometimes, man, I get irritated with people. I'm like, man, why do they do this? It's so annoying. It frustrates me. But then I remember, like, Mello, like, you've done a lot of things that bothered people, and they were patient with you, and they loved you, man. And it bothered them, but they were patient. And I'm like, you know, it kind of like, it's kind of like one of those pass it on things, you know, like someone's loved me, so I'm going to love other people. And that's why, like, that's kind of where I try to think about patience, is like, okay, well, these people were patient with me, so I should try to be patient with other people. And so I think, like, maybe a practical is just to, like, write down where, like, big moments where people were patient with you, you know.
Love that.
Yeah, maybe you, like, got really mad and yelled at your family, or like me, maybe you got really upset with your dad and cursed him out and told him you never want to see him again, but he still loves you, you know, and he still calls you and talks to you and genuinely cares about your well-being and still loves you, even though you did that to him. That's a lot of patience, you know, with a person. And it took a whole year for, like, us to get that way. So I think maybe thinking about those big moments where people were patient with you could help you increase your patience.
I think that's great. What do you think, bro?
Well, for me, I mean, patience, could result to, like, you're overwhelmed, and that could have a really effect on your patience of that day or situation. Like, if you don't have enough downtime, or you don't get that relief of that stress, you're just gonna blow over. like my dad says, even a pressure cooker needs to relieve some steam. But just take some time, I guess. No, don't overdo it and ignore your duties. But typically taking a nice bubble bath, relaxing with a nice music, candlelight, something. Will help.
Maybe punching
help
bag.
with your patience, or get a punching bag if you typically know you're an angry person.
Yeah, no, it's like going on a nice jog or something.
Hitting something that doesn't fight back, you know.
An inanimate object.
Yeah, an inanimate object.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Don't punch someone while they're unconscious.
Yeah.
That is not.
Oh no.
We do not support this cause.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
For sure. No, I feel you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah, coping. I mean, finding a healthy way to relieve your stress or to calm down or to relax. And that's something that, especially in our culture in America, is pretty tough to do.
Yeah. It's cool because now that I think about it, like one big way that like Jesus coped with like things is like by going and talking to God. Like he went up, like, you know, he literally would go alone on top of a mountain and talk to God, and that was like his way of like really, like, I mean, when he was under a lot of stress and he was about to be killed,
that's what he did.
That's his coping mechanism was going to God and praying to him, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I mean, Jesus had the best patience, man. If you want to learn to remain calm and learn patience, look what Jesus has done for us. I mean, he gave us the opportunity to follow him. And he died for all of us. Now that's patience. He's giving us a way out. I mean, he knows us better but that is patience.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, especially because he knows everything that we've ever done wrong.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, that helps me.
Ever.
Really.
You know?
Oh my gosh, dude. I'll tell you guys after the podcast, but there's something funny I gotta tell you guys. It's so stupid.
Now they're gonna want to know.
Nah, dude.
Now they're going to know that.
You'll have to find out later somehow. I don't know. You'll find out.
We throw his number out in the air.
Yeah. Please don't do that.
So last question before we wrap up, because we got like 3 minutes. What is one thing about God or about Jesus that challenges you guys when it comes to his patience?
Bruh, this dude Jesus, right? This dude, like, these people coming up to him and they're like beating him, like kicking him, calling him names, putting a crown of thorns on his head, laughing at him, mocking him,
calling him a liar.
Yeah, and he's still like, I love you. I'm like, what? That makes no sense.
You chose a murderer over me.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Like, dude, like I don't get that. I'm like, bro, that's so challenging. You know, he tells us to love our enemies. How? Like, you know, because I think of my life and I'm like, well, I don't really have too many enemies, you know? But then I think of like, well, what about people who hate black people? Or what about people who don't like people from where I'm from? You know?
Or who just don't like people in general.
Or who don't like people in general and just want to hurt people, you know? And like, that's so weird. Loving someone who hates you, that doesn't make any sense to me. I think about like, and so I try to make it applicable to myself, and I think about it, and that's where I know that like I struggle. Is like, if there was like a KKK member and you know in front of me, would I love that person? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
you know.
And what's crazy is if Jesus was us, he would.
Yeah, so that's I'm like, wow, like, whoa, that's crazy, man.
Patience in the sense of not retaliating when somebody is killing you is. I can't even fathom that. That's amazing. Go ahead, John.
The thing is, what's amazing, Jesus knew what he was getting himself into.
Yeah, right.
Even the time when he was being arrested, and that man's ear got severed, he still healed his people that were going to arrest him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, if that's patience, I don't know, man.
That's like feeding a person who stabbed you. Like, oh man, you stabbed me, but I'ma still give you food.
One of my favorite quotes from the movie Risen, which is about the Roman centurion who's trying to discover if Jesus was really alive or not.
Yeah.
Is he's talking to Joseph of Arimathea, and Joseph says that I believe that if Jesus were here, he would embrace you as a brother, even while you slew him. You know,
and that's and that's true.
It's
like,
true.
I believe that.
Yeah,
you know?
Me too. So it's pretty powerful, guys. Thanks for listening. It's about 20 minutes here. We got to wrap up, but I hope this has been encouraging for you as you think about how patience is applicable in your life, how you can better love and serve and influence your family, your friends, and your coworkers. Put this into practice. You know, take the time to reflect on how people have been patient with you, or find that way to cope. Maybe take that bubble bath, or go on that run or that jog. And I also think too, just remember Jesus' example, because that's the best example we have of what it means to really be patient. So in our next episode, we're going to talk about kindness. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to Candid Mike, where we share life and ministry principles to inspire transformation and ministry development. Each episode is a joy for us to record, and we are so thankful that you tune in to listen to us. A big thanks to Steezy Prime for our show music, which you can find more of his music on SoundCloud at Steezy Prime. Please stay tuned for our next episode and follow us on Instagram at Candid Mike Podcast. Thank you. Until next time.